様は天下のために必要な方なんです。だから絶対に生きてもらわないと、たとえ私の命に変えても。
面白い。
Hey, how's it going? Manic Ado back once again. I know I'm actually back, and I'm happy to see you. Super happy to see you. And thankfully you're here with us this evening. So yeah, this time I'm back with a review for Warriors Orochi 4. And I will say in advance, they provided me with a review copy, a free review copy, which no way influences my opinions. I'm just going to lay out the disclosure. Yeah, so let's get on with the review. Happy to see you all, and I'm happy to be back. It feels really good to be back. So, this actually, being a huge fan of the Warriors series, this is one of the few games I've been pretty much hyped for this year. I know there's got people like Red Dead and etc, but yeah, this was the game for me. But I was a little bit nervous because obviously the last game from the Warriors series was Dynasty Warriors 9, and yeah, let's just say it didn't happen. But essentially Warriors Orochi is a mix of Samurai Warriors, which is the series set in Japan, and Dynasty Warriors, or Dynasty Warriors, which is a series set in China. And if you don't know what they are, they're basically massive battlefields where you reenact the history of China and Japan, and it's like a hack and slash game set up on a field with thousands of troops, and you know, you control one character, you go around and you beat up lots of basically peasants. But it's actually really fun. It's kind of mixes strategy and action, and of course the movement's fluids and stuff, and it's really nice. With Warriors Orochi 4, they have another mix to it. They throw in Greek gods as well as mystics, and yeah, everyone gets sucked into a new universe, and it's just madness. I've been pretty much a huge fan of the Warriors series all the way back to Dynasty Warriors 2, which I think was around about 2000, maybe year 2001 on PlayStation 2. Yeah, it's going back now, jeez, right. Now let's see how I got on with Warriors Orochi 4, shall we? So yeah, this game doesn't play like Dynasty Warriors 9, thankfully, and goes back to the kind of older formula, which worked well. Sadly, it's not the oldest formula, because I used to like the one where the maps were open and you could go anywhere you wanted to. This one still kind of gates you in and tries to take you off in the directions of each matches. But this has a few differences in comparison to the other Warriors Orochis and Dynasty Warriors. The first major addition is the magic system. This is slightly different, and around the map there's kind of these anchors scattered around which helps you recharge your magic, but essentially you hold down RB, and to the bottom left is a gauge which fills up, which allows you to use magic attacks. RB plus X is the short magic attack, RB plus Y is the, like, using the full magic bar to use the magic attack, and RB plus B is the Muso magic attack, which is basically unique magic, which, you know, adds a new element to gameplay. And some of the characters, when you use their magic moves, they actually kind of help you transverse the maps faster. And it adds a whole new element to kind of button mashing, whatever you want to call it, the hack and slash element. Now, I actually prefer magic to just normal attacks and stuff, because they really are strong on this game. And also with the magic system, you can actually kind of conjure your horse up instantly. You don't have to like whistle like you did in the other game. And it's just actually really cool. I think it's a great system to add. It really helps make the game much more fluid. And of course, with the magic system added, they had to have some enemies which only take more damage with magic and not normal attacks. And there's one which they're kind of like wraith things. They go around floating, and they're in strategic points, and they kind of change the map's terrain, and they make all the troops around them kind of more resistant to normal attacks, so you have to use magic attacks on them. And when you get over a 300 combo, they drop tears, which I cry all the time. No, they drop tears, which you can press left stick down, which puts you into kind of a hyperdrive mode for a limited time, where you can unleash true musos or true frenzy attacks, and also with selected kind of characters, deity mode, which is really freaking awesome. And there's also griffins, cyclops, and kind of all other kind of enemies on the go. Now, the types of enemies you'll be facing on the battlefield, kind of, you know, the normal peasants, which you got in the other games, the samurais, you got new ones which are kind of Greek troops, and I believe you have kind of, well, Norse? I believe they're Norses. I was going to say Normans, but they're not Normans, they're Norse. And yeah, it's really nice to see the whole kind of different types of enemies on the battlefield, lots of variety to keep it going. Now, while it's nice, there's actually a lot of variety in the troops and the enemies you face. Sadly, this is where the cracks start to show. When it actually comes to the actual maps you're playing on, there aren't so many at all, which is actually very surprising, as the past games had lots and lots of maps. But yeah, you actually start to notice it quite early, probably around chapter 3, and there's about 6 chapters in the game. So actually, I'd say yeah, about chapter 3 is when you start kind of noticing it, and it was weird because in the Warriors games, like, you could play the same map but be put on different places, like different standpoints, and you wouldn't really notice it as much. But in this one, you really do actually start to notice it a lot, and replayability is hampered. And when you're actually playing through on multiple difficulties, which it actually tracks, it can be actually extremely tedious. And that's actually a shame, because one of the strongest features of the Warriors series for me is the high replay value, which this sadly lacks. But talking of difficulties, they've added a new difficulty called Pandemonium Mode, which introduces a new enemy boss called Hunden. But basically you play for the scenarios, which is randomly, like, every few missions he'll pop up saying, oh no, look, Hunden appears, and he'll be in one of the selected missions. And when you play in the mission, he'll actually spawn randomly in the area, and then you'll have to fight him. Now, essentially, Pandemonium Mode is Chaos Mode, which is the hardest difficulty, which is pretty challenging, but without health regen, because in the matches you can actually have your character's health regen come back by just swapping around to the other characters, because you control 3 characters in the game. But yeah, Pandemonium Mode was a nice addition, and you can get some good kind of rare items from that, whether it be weapons or the kind of gems which go with them, with weapon fusing. Another good addition is the objective tracker. Now, in each mission you choose, you got certain objectives which you must go and get. Now, in the previous games, you just had to try and guess if you completed the objectives, but with this, you just bring up the objective, click add to the game, and as you're playing in the game, it'll just show to the bottom right. Although I do believe the kind of board is a little too big, but you know, I'll be grateful for that. So from beating Pandemonium and of course completing several objectives, you get rewards, and these can be in sometimes as growth points, crystals, and gems. Now what do you do with these kind of currency? Well, we go back to the camp. Now the camp is basically the main kind of central hub of all affairs, if you like, and you can do lots of stuff in there, like level up your weapon, fuse weapons with new enchantments, raise bonds, view your bonds, upgrade the base, select costumes. It basically takes up the kind of role as the central hub of story mode, which is basically where you're going to be spending all your time. Unlike the previous games, the other Orochis, you actually were in a base walking around, but this one just goes back to a more simplistic approach of just having a main menu. I'll just give you a quick overview here of the main menu. As you can see there, an absolute ridiculous amount of officers you can choose from. I think there's about 179, 180, I might be wrong there, but it actually broke the record in the Guinness World Book of Records for most playable characters in a hack and slash game, I believe. So yeah, while that's great, there's also a caveat. Because there are so many characters in the story mode, you don't really get to kind of attach them per se, because, you know, obviously trying to get so many characters into a kind of a small to medium sized campaign, it doesn't really relate well. But it is good because they all got their unique movesets, they all got their unique personalities. I just really wish the campaign was longer or some way found a way to incorporate their uniqueness into the story. Now, talking of unique, this is just a me thing. You know, I'm gonna get crucified for this, but again, there's only Japanese voice acting still. The earlier games had English voice acting, and they were some of the funniest moments I've ever had in my life of gaming. They just added so much uniqueness to the characters. It was great, and I really do miss the English voice acting. Now again, I understand some people think, oh, view Japanese voice acting is better, but I prefer to play with English voice acting. That's the topic for another day, and I don't want to get into that right now. Please don't kill me, right? Okay. And another thing lacking in this game is, in the actual kind of battlefields, there's just no bases. It is just literally no bases, no troops. It's just the enemies, basically. You versus the enemies. Your teammates are absolute turds. Demonetized. No, they are the rubbish. It's just basically you versus a lot of people, which is kind of good in a way for if you just like killing things. But I always used to enjoy the uniqueness of having like the overview of two teams actually being in war. Instead, now it's just basically you versus an army. But before, it actually felt like you were one officer in a whole army. If you understand what I mean, you probably don't, but that's fine. There used to be a morale system where basically, if the enemy met objectives, which kind of worked out, their morale would go up, yours would go down, your kind of army and troops become weaker. Vice versa, if you kind of did a fire attack on the enemy and it worked out, their morale would go down, then your troops become stronger and kind of get the upper hand. There's kind of a vague talk about that, but you'll see it kind of in the game somewhat, but it's not as prominent as it used to be, so I really miss the morale system. And I'm gonna go back to difficulty mode. Sorry to just skip back and forth like this, but yeah, chaotic mode, the hardest difficulty, is not like it used to be. It used to actually be a real tough challenge, but with this I just breezed through it all easily. There was no challenge whatsoever, yeah, as I said. And sadly I didn't actually get to test the game online or co-op, because it does have split screen, local and online gameplay, which is a real nice addition, but again I didn't get to test that because I'm forever alone, right? But yeah, for me, I mean, the first kind of playthrough is fun, but it just, like the older games, it really does miss out on the replay value. I mean, the older games I could just play over and over again, but this one I kind of just, it just feels like so gated off. You just gotta go to this little area, kill an officer, then these gates are closed, then you kind of just basically locked off until they finish their dialogue, then the gate opens and you have to run through and then you're gated off again. I just really miss the old days of having an open battlefield where you could just go wherever you want to, and you had to actually kind of understand the battlefield, whereas now it kind of just points you in one general direction, which, I mean, it kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And, well, it's not exactly quite what I wanted, and it doesn't bring back the good old days of Dynasty Warriors. For the average player in 70 just looking to just kick back and defeat a lot of people, you will have considerable amount of fun. But for those looking for a more strategical kind of game, like in the older Dynasty Warriors, it's sadly not going to be it. And you know, I still kind of need to scratch that itch. At least it's not Dynasty Warriors 9, right? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my review, and I will see you in the next one. I had to leave on a sour note because I am a sour person. Sour. No, I'm not. I'm actually quite generous, kind, and I need another Dynasty Warriors 5, please.